Hello there. Can we talk? Yes. Yes, about Trump again. I have a question for all Trump supporters. I have an honest question. How can you justify saying that Donald Trump, or even Donald Jr., or even Eric, are alpha males? Because I can explain to you why they aren't even beta males. Heck, they're not even Charlie or Delta males. Those those dudes are like Echo males. Okay, he's whining every day about a cold courtroom. What a whiny little baby. And by the way, last week he was whining about, I probably won't be able to go to Barron's graduation. This week it can't be with Melania, it's her birthday. Well, guess what, Donald? If, when Barron was 4 months old and Melania was home taking care of him, if you had not been out having affairs and now then paying hush money so they would never find out, and it was with a porn star, that's why he can't be with them. Because he was off effing around, literally, on both of them, basically. So your husband and your daddy was off effing a porn star right after you were born, and that's why daddy can't be with mommy on her birthday, or you with your graduation, Baron. Okay, Donald, I did it for you. I explained to your little baby son, like you talk about your adults, people, children. They're like in their 40s, dude. And Alina, they're older than you. And you sit there and say, oh, his little children are being brought into it. Explain to me, anybody who's watching and supports Trump, explain to me how all of that are alpha males. They complain, they piss and moan, they bitch all the time about things that typical everyday people suffer through every day. Yeah, yeah. So, to any of the Trumps. And Melania, yeah, he cheated on your ass, but you're no better. You are no better. Y'all allowed him. You know, you got in here on, on a visa that's supposed to be a genius visa, or somebody very, very influential in their field, and it's gone worldwide. Um, that was not Melania, okay? She met Donald by an agent, basically, who worked with getting mail order brides from other countries, women who want to marry a rich American guy. Basically, that's what he was. So, that's their love story. Getting pawned in a nightclub, a Kit Kat club. Okay. So y'all can't tell me it was love that brought them together. It certainly was not. And she saw the money, and he saw a piece of candy he could wear on his arm. That's it. That is their love story. Money. Money, power, and notoriety. That is the Trump love story. It's probably the same for the others, too. Ivanka, all of them. The love story is money, notoriety, and power. That's it. That's so romantic. But again, I'd like to hear why you believe he's alpha. You've already seen, it's been proven, he's been a fraudster. He was not a genius businessman. We've all known for a long time that he isn't. Okay? Even when he was talking halfway intelligently and not all rambly bambly kind of shit going on the last few years. But his own fault. And anything that's come up is things that he's deliberately done or done and tried to hide. If you're trying to hide something, then you know it wasn't a good thing to do. You don't hide things you're proud of or you're wishy-washy. You only hide things that you don't want. Damn fly. Haven't not been able to get rid of him. And very bold fly. They're making a fly army. Get off my mouse, you fly. That's odd. Anyway, it's not unusual. Something odd came out of my mouth, but okay. Let's go right back. So yeah, even Melania, I don't feel bad for. All the crap he's drug her through and done behind her back, I don't feel sorry for her. Because all she did as First Lady was make a grammatically incorrect phrase that is the exact opposite of what her husband does. And he does it as an adult to children. He bullies. And her best, her was supposed to be an anti-bullying. What is be best? If somebody yells, be best! What does that tell you? To me, be best means be the best no matter what. Do what you have to do to be the best. Be your best is the whole different story. That is an anti-bullying. The woman, and don't give me, oh, she's from another country, so don't give me that crap. She's been in this country for decades, okay? I've seen people from other countries with heavy accents, but they still speak, and they've been here 5 years, and they still speak better English than Melania. She's lazy. She's lazy. She has gotten what she's wanted by her looks, and she doesn't have to actually do anything other than breathe and use that money. She has not accomplished anything in her life. Why do you guys think she's such an incredible First Lady? I can tell you why men do. It's because she's done nude modeling. That's why they like her, because she's attractive and they've gotten to see her naked. I'm sorry, but Trump supporters that are still Trump supporters, that's kind of the baseness they are. They're just grunting, hormone-driven creatures. Okay, men are not that. Not all men are that. Okay? Squirrels are very busy jumping on my screens and this morning. Oh, it's the young blue jays too. Now, it's a whole new crop of this is awesome. Anyway, but yes, so Melania, she didn't care. Exactly what her jacket said. She goes, I wasn't saying anything, it was just a jacket. Because she really doesn't care, and she didn't care. We all heard her bitching and moaning and pissing and griping about, I have to do Christmas decorations to her friend. I have to do, what do people want? Your Christmas decorations were like a bloody Christmas. Red and white. I mean, blood red everywhere on white. That says massacre, and that doesn't say Christmas. Where's the green? Where are poinsettias? So it wasn't. She just likes very severe, minimalistic um, taste. And she herself is very severe and minimalistic. Not much substance to her. And she always looks like. And I have seen pictures before she was in Donald's world. I've seen pictures, and she doesn't have that squinty look even when she's not Yeah, I smile. I have high cheekbones. My eyes squint. Can't help it. When you have higher cheekbone, that happens. Melania is always like this. She's always like this. That is not how her eyes normally are. She's always looking down, or I mean, squint and tell me how you feel when you're squinting. Okay, that's a good way to teach people like with Asperger's or just in general that don't really pick up facial expressions, from other people and able to infer maybe what they might be feeling. A good way is to ask them to replicate the expression on their face. If somebody's got their brows like this, what does that mean? Well, ask them to do it. When you're doing this, what do you feel like? Is there feel like anything? Because a lot of people will say, oh yeah, well, I feel like it's a disapproving. When she squints, it's like, it's a very arrogant kind of an attitude if you walk around with your eyes squinty when you're addressing other people. Watch her, because her eyes are not always like that. It's when she's in front and she's the one speaking or something that they get super squinty. Okay, so Melania is not innocent. Baron has not said much even after he's now become an adult. So I know that's just recent, but he really isn't peeping up, which kind of one makes me wonder if he's the opposite of the way his older siblings and well, three of his older siblings are. So I mean, you would think if he agrees with their side that he would have just been folded in their arms, oh, come with, but he isn't. So I I'm thinking either he hasn't expressed either way, or he's doesn't discuss it because he doesn't agree with his family. So, well, look at the Kennedys. Just about the entire Kennedy clan got together and and officially advised that they are supporting Biden. I mean, like a whole gaggle of Kennedys um, su- endorsed Joe Biden when their own relative is running. That's humiliating too. That's incredibly humiliating. Just oh, amazing. But yes, that's the only reason why men defend Melania, and men say, I don't know about the women, um, but a lot of men do say, "Oh well." First things out of their mouth when they ask when they're asked about, well, what makes Melania such a notable first lady amongst all the others, and one of the first few things they will say is, well, she's really beautiful. Okay, so she's arm candy. That doesn't qualify you for much of anything except trophy wife or nepo babe. Oh wait, no, we don't have that. So, trophy wife it is. I do not feel sorry for Donald Jr., Eric, Ivanka, Jared, Kimberly Gargoyle, my bad, sorry, and Laura. Oh, please, Have you heard that singing? Oh my god. And I'm not talking because of the voice crack thing, because my voice will naturally do that in places too. Okay? But, I mean, yeah, she wasn't B best either. Whoa. And she actually is using the RNC as a springboard to slip her singing in, and that's nepo crap if ever I saw it. Oh my god. I just want anybody to explain to me legitimately why y'all think these are alpha people complaining about a cold. The guy sleeps. Trump's sleeping in court. Usually people fall asleep when it's too warm. They just like, oh, they get sleepy. Usually when you're cold and your body is like trying to stay awake, most people don't easily fall asleep when they're cold unless you're out in a blizzard and you're gonna die of exposure and frostbite and stuff. Yeah, okay, that can make you tired. But usually it's the warm places that'll make you fall asleep before the cold. Because with cold, your muscles tighten up. When you're tightened up like that, you're not going to be able to just drift off easily. As opposed to when, you know, you're all warm and snugly, you can fall asleep easier. At least it's with me. So I find that if he thinks that's an excuse on why he keeps falling asleep without saying, well, I'm falling asleep because it's cold in there, he's saying it every time he comes out of there. So, because he knows now that they're gonna say, oh, he fell asleep again. So, I think that's his preemptive. Um, it was cold, but that doesn't make sense, at least not to me, unless my body acts completely opposite. But when it's in the house, when it's all warm and, you know, cuddly type, you get that snuggy comfort type of feel. But when you're cold, also when you're warm, your muscles relax. When you're on the cold, your muscles tense up and contract. How are you easier to fall asleep that way? So I don't know what his piss and moan about that, the cold in the courtroom. The only thing I can think of is that without actually saying it so it looks like an excuse, he's he's inferring it. He's walking you right to the water trout. He's walking you right to why he's saying that. He's just not saying it outright because he knows he's got to watch. Thank God. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So interesting developments. People are yapping. He's sweating, freezing, sweating. How do you sweat the way you could see his face is just the face of a sweating, worried person, and yet he's freezing? How do you regulate and work that? I don't know. I don't think you do. Okay, so drink water today. It's a nice day. It is a little chilly out, and it's partly cloudy, so it's supposed to rain later today. So if you're anywhere where it's supposed to rain, be be safe. Remember, the most dangerous time to be driving was when it's just a light rain and it's a thin layer of water is harder and to drive on and more prone to skids and slides than heavy rain. And it has to do with the traction. When it's just a very thin layer, you kind of ride on top of it. And when it's especially at a faster speed. because you have a tendency to go over the water. And if it's the very thin layer, it will be much more slippery. If you've just got a little splash of water on a piece of tile, it's you don't see it and you're going to slide a lot easier. As opposed to if you see the whole floor is wet, obviously, you're going to walk more carefully and you're going to get a better, you know, the water's going to be pushed out of the way because of the momentum. There's more water, so it's getting spread fat easier. Whatever. But that is the fact. So be careful, and if you do be driving in the rain, always remember that if you do hit a skid, any kind of place that's slippery with the rain, or slicker with rain, make sure you remember which way to turn your wheel if you skid. Your automatic reaction is that the back of your back slides to the right. People think, oh, I should do the other way because I don't want the back. That's wrong, because if you do the other way, it's going to make it go more. Always turn in the direction of the skid. So if your car is driving and it starts to skid like this, you turn your wheels that way too. That way. Because that'll push the back end out. A lot of people don't get that actually explained to them. For me, the way my brain works, especially when I'm trying to figure out, their method or how they, like with shoes. When I was young and I was working at a place that had a shoe department I was put in charge of, it was so hard for me to comprehend because I didn't have kids. And when you're a kid, you're not buying your own shoes. That shoes went from like 1 to 13 and then start over for adult sizes. Because I would see like 10s and 10s. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And when somebody said, okay, there's two different, they go about the same way, but there's two different charts. One is for kids, young kids up until they're an adult's size, size foot. Then you go up, in your mid-teens, you get into the adult sizes, and they start again. Once I was explained that, I was like, because it was taking me weeks of like not getting my displays correct, because I was just, it was driving me nuts. And nobody explained. They said, why? Because that's the way they do it. And I'm like, and they didn't explain what I just said. Very simple. It's just two different, the same way, 1 to 13, but it's just two separate charts. One is for children and one is for adults. So we're not going up to like 30 or 40 type of size. I think Europe does that kind of stuff. But we just put it into two categories. After that, I had never ever forgot it, over the decades. So, because I was like in my 20s. So, yeah, even the simple things, if you explain something, here's a little to avoid some frustration both on you and other people. If you explain something to somebody and they can't get it, they don't understand, explaining it and repeating the exact same thing you said over and over is not going to do that. Repeating it once, maybe. If they still are like, I don't understand, that's not explaining it to me. Try to use a different way of explaining. Don't use the same words because they already said they don't understand. They're not making the connection the way with the words you're expressing. With the words you're choosing, they're not picking up what's supposed to happen. And that's something I learned from a math teacher I had. Because it was driving me crazy when we would get up into, the like 11th, 12th grade. math, where you're starting with like the calculus and all that kind of stuff, and then the trigonometry kind of geometry, stuff. And I couldn't get something, and I mean, I would stay after school with a couple, other kids, and it was just bashing my head. So the teacher, he comes in, and I told him I was literally in tears. I was so frustrated. And he sat down. He says, "Okay," and he did what I just did, and he explained, like, so this is like if it would be a runner at the beginning of the starting gate. He would correlate it to something else, compare it to something else, and then all of a sudden it's like you can visualize. Okay, so if the runner was the divider, and you put it in a different context, all of a sudden that brain is going to be like, because everybody uses different ways of learning. We all use the same ways, but some are visual, some are audio, some are actually doing it, that they can't just looking, they have to actually do it as you're telling them before it gets recorded and stuck in your head. And when you do it, sometimes correlating it to something that, or comparing it to something that has nothing to do, like in this case, math, your head is going into a place that it's not already panicked, because I'm not a huge math person. I never was. Like my oldest adores numbers and stuff, but I mean, I have a respect for them, but I don't play with them as my hobby. I get some people do, like with Sudoku, with numbers. I get it. Um, but it just, like, for me, I do it as a challenge, not as a relaxing way. I do the same thing with letters. For me, words are that way. Okay, it's not a stress thing. Some people that love math are like, oh, letters are, numbers, yes, letters, no. So we're all different. So sometimes trying to explain to somebody like a Trump supporter or something like that, using a description that doesn't include political things. Use it to something maybe to painting, or however you can correspond. It's like this would be this. It makes it so much easier for brains to understand, because that person might have a brain that doesn't work on audio as much as seeing something visually. They can oh, okay, yeah, I get it right there, I see that. And some people will be like, I had no clue, but you start talking music, relating it to notes or something, they're like, oh, I mean, you could see the connection getting made. And I had that problem for starting geometry. And it was just frustrating me, because I knew you had to conquer that before you can get to anything else. And that's important. You need it every now and then. So he finally sat down. It was me and this other guy. He called him CT. He had red hair. Duh. We're so clever. At least I didn't call him Carrot or Carrot Top. I called him CT. I'm just so witty. I was in high school. Give me a break. But his brain must have worked like mine, because the same expression on his face that I felt on mine when he made the comparison, but with something outside of math, because we weren't stressing. He used something. It was a music thing. Now, I don't know how to read music. He was in band, but I do respond to music. So, sorry. But because when he said what he said, I was like, And I looked over, and his face was like, I goes, "Oh, you got it, didn't you? That just made sense to you, didn't it?" He says, "Yeah." It's like, it just made sense to me, too. And it was math he was explaining. So sometimes you need to describe or explain something in a different way, which means a different use of words or a different comparison, or because not everybody's brain works the same. Not everybody's brain learns the same way. Some people just learn it if all they hear is the repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Some people, you could repeat it the entire time they're sleeping and they're not going to sink in because their brain is more linked to their eyes, and they're where if they see it written out, it's like, okay, I can see the remainder now. I see it. It's not just I have to see it in my head. I visually see it. And for some reason, the brains that work like that, well, that's the instant it cements it. Like, oh, I got it now. So, yeah, just because 1 out of 40, there's one person that's, I'm still not quite getting it. I mean, I'm understanding what you're saying, but it's not making sense. I mean, I can do it, but it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't want to do something the rest of my life when I need to use that knowledge, knowing that I'm only half-assing it because I'm really not understanding why I'm doing it that way. Now, some people might be fine learning something and not giving a shit why it's done that way. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there like that too. Me, it's like a left something left dangling, and I've never been diagnosed as OCD, but I do have that need to tie shit up. um, so there's nothing like questioning left for me. I guess probably because I've had so much of that in my life that it just, can we just tie up some things neatly? Just some things to make sense in the end. Just in some things, please. So, But if somebody's having a hard time, just because one person out of 40 is having a tough time, like drilling it into their head, doesn't mean they're stupid. Doesn't mean they're dense. They can be very intelligent. It's just not the way they're wired to learn the easiest. That's not the easiest way for them to learn. That's why some people would be like, they on the academic, they straight A's or A's and B's, and then you get to some of the extra stuff and they're like, see, maybe they're more linear minded and not as much expression, color minded. Doesn't mean they're stupid. Just because I don't know how to leap hurdles the way some champions do, doesn't mean I'm stupid. I'm just pretty lame at hurdles. So don't discount people just because they're not understanding something that you're explaining to them. Maybe you're not explaining it in the way that they're able to understand it, but you're explaining it the way a lot of people do understand it. You just ran across somebody who happened to not have their brain work that way. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong. That's still in the range of average. Because average and typical are a huge range on everything in life, almost. And who are you to say, oh, this huge range, now we're just saying pretty much the middle of that is the typical. Bite me, okay? That's my answer. Kiss this. Because average, typical, and the word normal, that's not normal. Every now and then, when I'm talking to my a young squirrel. Every now and then, when I'm talking to my teletherapist, and I'll say something like, "Well, that's not normal," or "Is that normal?" I was like, "Wait, is that typical?" Because I don't like to use that word normal because, first, especially in that kind of thing, nobody wants to be told you're abby normal. Anybody who's ever watched Young Frankenstein will get that joke, that little nod. But yeah, who really wants to be told saying you're different is one thing, saying you're abnormal, it's like bite me. Kiss this, you know? Um so I like to use the word typical because even average, some people take it as an insult, some people take it as a compliment. So I like to use the word. Is that typically the way the average person would, you know, the general person? Because words matter and how you describe something matters. The words might be in the thesaurus meaning the same thing, but there's different words for the same thing because there's degrees of it. Just like attractive, pretty, and cute. They don't all mean the same thing. But in another country, they might have one word for all of that. Just something pleasing to look at. It's cute, all it's attractive, it's pretty. All of it is one word. It's probably one of the reasons why English, they say, is such a difficult language to learn as a second language because just pick a effing word, people, But as a writer, as well as an artist, but as a writer, oh, I revel in words. And there is a difference between attractive and pretty. There actually is. There's a nuanced difference in the meaning, but same thing with shades. Blue green is not the same as green blue. Orange red, not the same as red orange at all. And comment down below if you would like to see or have me do a video on things like that, what the difference is between blue blue green and green blue or that kind of thing. I'd be happy to explain it. All these little trivia things I have, knowledge I have, tidbits from a plethora of topics, It's like jack of all trades and master of none. Um, I know a little bit about a lot of things. Um, I'm not saying it'll ever come in handy, all of that, for me personally, as in I can use it, but it's interesting, and I like input. If you've ever seen the Short Circuit movie, long time ago, Ali Shee, um, I like that movie. Short Circuit, it's called. You should watch it if you've never seen it. But when the robot's up all night watching TV and keeps yelling, "Input, input, input, give me input, Stephanie." Yeah, kind of me. That's kind of me. I need input. I need to learn something new. I need to. Oh, that reminds me. I was talking to my case manager. We were talking about the green meteor, and we were trying to. I was like, we couldn't remember what substance on the meteor made it, you know, appear green. And I was like, because I know in the Indochina where there's the blue lava, it's only blue because there's a substance, and I was like, is it sulfur? Magnesium, what is it? That the mineral that when it burns, it gives off that color. And so while I was at my farmer's market appointment, he was looking up on his phone, and that's something I'm gonna have to look into. I forgot. to remind myself this weekend. Meteors, usually only if you see one. It's usually like that whitish or the maybe with an orange tint or a yellow tintish, something like that. They have like 6 or 7 different colors that I never knew. And I'm 61. So there's always, am I going to have to use that someday? That I need that knowledge? Probably not. Not my field I work in, Probably not. Is it still cool to learn? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I think. Um, so yeah, if there's anything, and I don't mean stupid ass or off color suggestions, okay? I'm talking about civil YouTube thing, conversation I can have. But yeah, if you happen to run across this, comment down there and let me know if there's anything you're curious about. We could learn it together. If I don't know, space, ocean, land, geology, astronomy, what? What you want to talk about? Painting, writing, music, what? Cats, gardening, crafting? Yeah, good. I'm up. What do you want to talk about? Let me know. Drink your water. Be safe. Be kind. Peace out.